It's Frank Klesitz with Viral Marketing. And on this Hangout, we're going to talk about the shift that's necessary to go from more of a transactional mindset in your business to a more relationship mindset. Or actually, not even that. It's how to have both mindsets. How to have both. You have to go get business and be focused on hitting your goals transactionally, as well as you want to make sure that you're staying in touch and you're building a relationship with all those people on the way. You have to have both. It really isn't one or the other. Usually you find people that are relationship-based, just doing minimal business only by referral. You see transactional people that are, doing lots of advertising and prospecting, but if that stops, so does their entire income because they haven't been building a relationship all along the way. And as I wrote in our database reset book, and what we do here at Viral Marketing is we help you reconnect with your database, your past clients, your sphere, your leads, and we help you educate and stay in touch with those people. And I wrote in that database reset ebook, which is the marketing plan to do that, which I invite you to go get that video marketing plan on our website. I talk about how it's important to have a transactional and a relationship mindset. So this is why I want to do this Hangout, is if you've been focusing so much outbound on growing and growing and growing and marketing and talking to strangers all the time, it is a very difficult mindset shift to start adding to that mindset the concept of getting to know somebody, building that relationship, staying in touch, educating them. The deal or the sale isn't so close to here, it's much farther out. So that's why I've invited Matthew Ferry here on this Hangout today. If you're struggling to get a blend of a transactional approach to business and a relationship approach, which both are important, Matthew's going to help us understand a lot of the mental roadblocks that you may be dealing with going from that transactional to relationship mindset. So you can dominate both and have a good, sustainable, healthy business. You got to have both. We all know this, but it's difficult. So hi, Matthew. How you doing, bud?
What's up, Frank? Frank, the thing that I think is possible for someone if they are transactional focused, meaning they are cold call, talk to new people. That's what I like to do. I just want to talk to new people. I want to get business in the door. That person has a phenomenal opportunity to double their business just by being a little more relationship oriented in their process and being connected to the people that they are calling on a regular basis. And the bottom line is the person already has a relationship with you. They already would prefer to do business with you than do business with someone else. It's just a shift in the mindset. You could literally create a tidal wave of new business just through this.
Without having to talk necessarily to more people or doing more calls. And that's why Matthew, I invited here on this Hangout. He's incredible at this stuff. So a little brief background on Matthew if you haven't heard of who he is. For 20 years, he's been coaching real estate professionals in the real estate industry. But I want to be very clear, this works for all industries and all business, what we're going to talk about today, even though we may be talking specifically about the real estate profession. Has coached over 8,000 real estate agents across the nation to shift their mindset. And we all know business is 80% psychology, 20% skill, or 80% mindset, 20% skill. It's mostly a psychology game. And Matthew helps us unlock that. So let's start from the very beginning, Matthew. You've worked with so many different professionals. You have people that are very relationship driven, and you have people that are very transactional driven. How does someone know who they are, or what type of people tend to gravitate to a certain one or the other? And very rarely you see someone good at both. Let's talk about how someone can identify if they're transactional or relationship oriented and what that means to them.
Well, I don't think that we need to give them any kind of complicated self-assessment tool. I think that a person knows, I would rather talk to people I don't know, or I'm afraid to talk to people I don't know. I only want to talk to people I do know. Then there's a third camp. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm afraid of all requesting of business, prospecting, or marketing. So people just know immediately what camp they're in. And Frank, I think that you're right when you say there's hardly anyone out there who is naturally good at both the new calling new people and going after new business, and then creating those relationships. But here's what I've noticed. It's that way in any industry. It's that way. If I took a basketball player has to be good at 8 or 9 different fundamental things to be an all-around pro. in their particular industry, and they probably are innately good at one or two. Then they have to develop the skill to be good at the rest. And it's the exact same thing for our salespeople. Our salespeople, we're innately good at one or two things, and then we have to develop skills for all the rest. And every industry has their I have to know how to do this, and this to be successful. And usually if you're good at one or two, you can be relatively successful. Then you have to develop the skills for the rest. And what we're talking about today is really developing the mental framework that will then give you an emotion of courage and connection with other people, which will then naturally lead to a behavioral modification so that you are connecting deeply with people and keeping in touch with them and asking them if they will give you business in the future. Because the bottom line is this, my relationship with you, Frank, has led to a lot more business coming in with me. Mm-hmm. So my own viral marketing relationship, so meaning there's viral marketing and there's the stuff that I do with the company, but then there's just my relationship with you. And my relationship with you has actually led to a tremendous amount of business that I could never even, I wouldn't have known where that business was going to come. But I have a particular skill set and focus, as does my business partner, Kristen, to stay in communication, love on people, connect with them, even though my innate, the thing that is most comfortable for me is sort of hunt, kill, move
yes.
on. That's my nature.
So let's talk about that. So let's say somebody gets into sales, and their approach to sales, they could either go very relationship, lunch and dinner meetings, like ad agency world, 3 martini lunches, let's say, with the people they know looking for referrals. That's one direction they can go. The other direction they can go is, okay, here's a list of prospects. I'm going to call them. I'm going to hunt them down. I'm going to get appointments. And I'm going to get them as clients or sell them, right? Yeah. Transactional relationship.
Yep.
I think what you said there was the concept of maybe some delayed gratification, where on the transactional side, the result is like very close to your face, whereas on the relationship side, it's very far away. I heard that from what you were saying. Want to tell more about that?
And also one has to come to grips with that the relationship, even though I am feeding the relationship in small ways on a regular basis. I'm tending to that garden, and I'm keeping the weeds out of that garden, and I'm making sure that there is a connection present in that garden. It will bear fruit for years and years and years and years and years and years and years to come. It's the difference between the farmer and the hunter. And ultimately, what has sustained us as a species is not the hunting. It is definitely the farming.
Well, the farming is the way.
They both need to be there.
Yeah.
They both need to be there. But if you want a tidal wave of business, you take your hunting, you add the farming to it, and voila, you're off and running. It's a mindset shift that you need to make.
Okay. So I think everyone understands the challenges that we're dealing with here. And I think by everyone watching, they can see if I'm in the relationship category, the transactional. And by the title of this video, or this hangout, you probably identify yourself in the transactional, and you know something's wrong. You know that you're making money, things are good, you're prospecting, you're going out meeting people, you're taking, in this case, if you're in real estate listings or working with buyers, but that the database has been neglected and you are just completely turned off by the idea of calling them or talking to them or building that relationship because it takes away from that now, right?
There's other stuff. It's not just that.
And that's what we're going to go into. So I think probably the best way here, Matthew, you can choose how you want to talk about this, but maybe we can share some stories of somebody, not to mention any names, about how they broke through. I think that would be good. Or I'm just going to kind of let you run with this. If somebody's in that situation where they're transactional and they know they have to become the farmer and their hunter, I just want you to take it away and let's have a conversation.
Both. So really they have to move, really the mindset shift is to move from worker to owner. And when, to move from tribesman to chief. It's really what it comes down to.
Okay.
So the specialist is making their money because they're just churning, 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 churning. But ultimately, we have to shift our mindset to become the owner of the business. And when we become the owner of the business, then we're suddenly saying, okay, what are the various streams of income that I want to pull into my business? I like to call this commission stacking. How do I take this stream and add it to that stream and 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 that stream? In fact, I'm doing a training on that right now, commission stack. And really, in the end, it comes down to, can I get myself over my stories? Rebecca is one of the clients that comes to mind for me up in Seattle. She had a sort of a hunting mindset, but knew that adding referrals was going to be an important part of her business. And the thing that kept stopping her over and over and over and over and over and over was not the action, Frank. It was the fear of what people were going to say, or the fear that it was going to fail. She had all these quirky little fears. I like to call those fears the drunk monkey. And she had to go through a set of procedures, which I want to share some of those procedures on this call with people. So she had to go through a set of procedures to get rid of them. When she did, so that was in end of 2014. Right now, at the time of this recording, it's October 2015. October 2014, she took on her mindset. And she began to grapple with and deal with that she had illogical positions, mental positions about what was going to happen. She was, in fact, Frank, a hallucinator. Just like you are, just like I am. She literally believed she could tell the future. When I do this activity,
this is the result. I already know. I'm not going to do it.
I don't do the activity. I never do it. But I know with certainty, because somehow I'm an expert in doing things that I don't do. I know when I do that activity, I'm going to get screwed.
Now, Matthew, this is interesting of something you said, and I want to call it out for the audience.
Let me just complete before you say that.
Good.
She implemented the referral process in her business. She just reported on our Facebook group. She's on track right now to double her income in 2015 purely from referrals. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, and this goes to the story. Is that here's somebody, I believe what you said, they were very prospecting, transactional based, talking to strangers and probably dealing with rejection all day.
Yep.
But couldn't deal with that same rejection from people you know. That seems backward.
Yeah.
Or is there more rejection from people you know? I don't know. Maybe you could talk about the feeling of rejection from the relationship side versus the stranger side.
Let's do that. So I made some notes, okay? So I made some notes on some of the things that stand in our way from becoming more referral oriented. And these notes come from a training that I do that's included in the Top Agent Mindset Training Program. And it's called The Mindset of Creating a Referral-Based Business. And in order to create a mindset, basically, what is a mindset? A mindset is a context that you hold something inside of, or it's a way that you think about it. Most people have never examined how they think about stuff. It's just the way it is. I just think about it in that way. But it's really not like that. We were trained and conditioned to believe that the world was a particular way. And typically, Frank, who we're trained and conditioned by are the people that raised us. Mm-hmm. And now, here's the interesting thing. I was pretty lucky. I was raised by a top-notch sales guy. But that top-notch sales guy was not around. He was out in the world selling, trying to make fortunes for the family. So I really got raised by my mom, who was much more of an artist, more shy, blah, 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 that kind of thing. So my model of the world was based on what I observed in them, what they taught me, what they said. They said things like, don't go over and impose on the neighbors. Don't just ask for what you want. That's right there. All these little rules that I got indoctrinated into. So when I first started in selling, I had all of these confines, which were nothing more than the context that I held relationship inside of. So the first thing that we've got to do is we have to look and say, how do you actually make a change? And how you make a change is really with a 4-step process. I call it the game changer. You're going to change the game on yourself. So here you are playing your game. You are trying to be a professional bowler, but you know what you do? You try to bowl like a tennis player. This is what most salespeople are doing. They're like, what? I can't figure it out. I'm trying to get strikes, but I don't know what's going on. There they are swinging the ball around. It's not going anywhere. And they can't figure out why the ball is not rolling down and getting strikes. Well, it's because they haven't examined that they have a game that they play that isn't the game that they're playing. They're literally playing tennis on the bowling alley floor. So what we want to do is we want to do 4 things. 1, we want to become aware. Awareness is key. The moment you see that you're flinging the ball around versus winding up and rolling it down the alley, the moment you notice that, you can do something about it. So awareness is the first step. The second step is flexibility, because you're in flexibility. It's like, Matthew, listen, I just want to cold call people. I just want to talk to new people. I don't like talking to people I already talked to. I screwed that up, or whatever their thing is, right? They have some story. They're not even flexible. So the moment you become aware, you then become flexible, Frank. And then your flexibility, here's the crazy thing about flexibility. Flexibility reveals a whole set of new options that weren't even there before.
Yep.
You didn't even know they were there. So you were going like this. You were like, I'm trying to get this bowling ball to go down the alley. You're flinging it all around, trying to do why is it not working? You're playing tennis with your bowling ball. But the moment you go, wait a second, I'm on a bowling alley. You look at your ball. The moment you do that, this whole new set of options. Well, what if I roll the ball? What if I look down the other lanes and look and see what the other bowlers are doing? What if I did some of those things? Before, you're flailing all around. You couldn't see anything. You had blinders on. So awareness leads to flexibility. Flexibility reveals new options. And Frank, it's so simple. When you have options, you have power.
I love the looking down the bowling alley to see what other people are doing. It's like a giant aha of the story.
Ta-da! Oh my gosh, why am I trying to reinvent the wheel? No wonder my bicep is killing me. This is a 10-pound bowling ball that I am flinging like this. Suddenly you have power. So that awareness is key. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to give some awarenesses, things to be aware of, that the moment you become aware of, it will automatically start to change your position and change your behavior and your thought.
That was my exact question, is that when,
right.
there comes this point of like, I need to build my database. There's something's not quite right with the full scope of how I'm getting my business here. And that aha happens. How do we stimulate that, and how do we make that fully aware?
Here's the typical aha I find, though, okay? The typical aha is it going to be this hard the rest of my life?
Yeah,
When am I going to transition into the time when business is just flowing into me? That's typically what I find people go through. They start saying, how come other people are getting referrals and I have to work so hard to get every single deal? And they don't realize that a hunter, a person who will go out and get new business on a regular basis, when they step back, they stop being the worker, they start being the CEO of their company, and they look at what are the various income streams that I want to put in place, and they begin to think about it logically. They say, my God, I've got over the last 10 years 350 people that I have done a deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the most likely people to do another deal with me. So from a logical standpoint, they say, I need to get focused on that. But then what happens is the drunk monkey comes into the picture. And the drunk monkey is just my little nickname for all that talking in your head. And the drunk monkey has a whole bunch of what I call unconscious reflexes. So just like if I hit your knee with a hammer, boom, it flips up, there's a reflex. Your mind has reflexes too. So if you're driving along in your car and all of a sudden you look in the rearview mirror and you see police lights in the back, is there a reflex that occurs in your body?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you took heart rate, right? Mind. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Do I have insurance? Is it there? You know, all of that stuff goes through your head. That's called an unconscious reflex. Well, for salespeople, there are 6 deadly unconscious reflexes. And one of the unconscious reflexes that is killing us is something called forecasting the negative. And this forecasting the negative is autopilot. It just happens automatically. And one of the reasons that we forecast the negative is that we have a malfunction that occurs. And the malfunction is that we are utilizing a survival technique in a thriving situation. So you're not trying to survive in real estate. You're not trying to survive as a salesperson. You're trying to thrive in real estate or as a salesperson. You're trying to make money and move forward, not retreat, retract, keep what's yours. That's not what you're trying to do. So you have to start to look at, okay, I'm hallucinating. I'm hallucinating about the future, and I don't actually know what the future is. And really the trick is to begin to bust the drunk monkey. There's another one that I want to talk about, which is we follow rules that don't exist. This is a reflex. So I wrote some notes on that, and I want to give you some of the notes that I wrote down. So it's sort of like this. I'm following rules that don't exist. I wrote down a couple thoughts on that. I didn't communicate very well during the transaction, so they're probably mad at me. And therefore, I can't call them back and ask them for business. So first of all, Frank, where did the rules about communication come from?
Your own head.
Does the client have the same rules as you?
No.
Do you have the same rules as me?
Nope.
My communication style, if you haven't noticed, is a little verbose.
Verbose, I like that word.
It's a little verbose. It's a little over the top, right? My communication style is a little more, theatrical than most people. But if you look at my family, my whole family is extremely theatrical in their style and very over the top in their communication style. So that's just my family style. So what happens is I accidentally think that everybody else communicates the same way as we do. And when I communicate in a way that breaks my own rules, I think you're mad at me. And if I don't have the wherewithal to step back and see what's really going on and admit that really the rule that got broken was my own, not yours. And really the only measure is your reaction, then I'm gonna not call those people. So I want to give our viewer a note to write down, okay? So I want you to write down this little note. The meaning of my communication is the response I get, regardless of my intent. The meaning of my communication is the response I get, regardless of my intent. So we're forecasting the negative, Frank. We're hallucinating. We're making up stories. And what we've got to do is we have to practice making up a new story, which is called a hypothesis, and then running an experiment to discover who's right. The insane person in my head that I call the drunk monkey, or the hypothesis that if I call my past clients on a regular basis, A, they won't be mad at me, B, they'll be happy that I called, C, they will want to start sending me business, and D, I could double my business in the next 12 months if I do it. So that's my hypothesis. If I call them on a regular basis, A, they won't be mad at me, B, they'll be happy to hear from me, C, they'll send me business, and D, I will be able to double my business in the next 12 months. So,
and that right there is what messes with, I would think, the people the most, is by taking a emotional reaction and now completely making it logical right there. And you put them on the spot.
But it's not just logical, Frank. It's literally you put on your white lab coat You put on your gloves. You put on your goggles. You map out what the experiment would look like, and then you operate like you're a scientist. You remove your hallucinations.
Mm-hmm.
This is the point of science. Science basically said, you know, it's great that you think the world is flat. Prove it. It's great that you think that your past clients and sphere of influence are going to somehow be mad at you because you're calling them. Prove it. Don't look at me and tell me that it's going to happen. That's just you being a liar to yourself. You're lying to me and you're lying to you. Prove what you're saying. And that's just a game that you can play with yourself. That's one of the things that we like to do with the Top Agent Mindset community, is that we run experiments on a regular basis. You know, viral marketing, in my mind, when anyone says to me, should I do viral marketing? I say, hell yeah, you should do viral marketing. It's a really amazing structure for you to become an expert and stay in front of the people that you've done business with in the past and your friends and family, that kind of thing. And then they go, yeah, but be on camera, all of these considerations. So in our community, what we do is we then run an experiment to see who's right. Is the drunk monkey right about viral marketing? Or is the hypothesis, or, really it's the promise of viral marketing, right? Viral marketing has a promise attached to it.
Yeah, will people like my videos? Will people be positive to it? Will they say nice things? How will I look? Like, do I actually know what I'm talking about? Will people see me as an expert? There's a lot of issues with that. Fears.
Fears
Absolutely.
and issues. So what we want to do is we want to apply some things. So I want to give people some questions to ask the drunk monkey.
Great.
All right. Let's say you're going to implement a viral thing right now. Okay. So here are the questions that I wrote down. And this is a procedure that we utilize in Top Agent Mindset. And the procedure is called loosen the grip. Loosen the grip, because the drunk monkey is holding you back, holding your throat, not letting you speak. So here's some questions I want you to write down. This is to the viewer. I want you to write this down, okay? Check it out. First one, how do you know this is true? So let's just take one, Frank. Let's use some of the excuses that you just came up with. So what are they? They're I
just think the biggest one, people think I'm stupid.
Will people think that I'm stupid? Will they see through my facade? Right?
Yes. Like I'm sending this email out trying to get business, and they're going to see the intent behind my videos is to get them to hire me.
Yeah. Will they discover the thing that I fear most about myself that is unresolved within my own psychology, which is I'm afraid that people will discover that I'm a fraud. Hi, welcome to Matthew Ferry's world. This is the stuff we deal with.
Yeah.
Because here's the bottom line. If you can overcome that, if you can resolve the illogical feeling that you're a fraud, if you can resolve that, you can do anything. You become fearless. And fearlessness is the promise of what I do. Fearlessness.
That is really what it is. The illogical feeling that you're a fraud.
Yeah, and it's not based on anything. It's literally conjecture. So here's a couple of questions that we use. It's a process that we use, okay? So this is how we would start to loosen the grip. Doesn't mean we're going to eliminate. Just means we're going to give ourselves a little bit more flexibility and range to act in a new way. So the first one is, how do you know this is true? How do you know that people will watch the video and think, this guy's such a con artist. You know what? He's giving me all this information, but you know what he really wants? He really just wants me to give him business. He's just a shark. So how do you know that's true? And the answer, of course, is you don't. You're making it up. You're hallucinating, pretending like you're psychic and that you know the future, but you don't. The next question is, where did I learn this? Where did I learn this from? And the answer is from my own conclusions. This is typically what happens, is that the drunk monkey's job is to keep you alive. So the moment you start to see that anything your mind says to you is only designed to keep you alive, and that's it, that's all it's trying to do. The moment you see that, you stop trusting what it's saying to you. The moment you stop trusting what your mind says to you is the moment that you start to gain power again. Here's what your mind does. It's a survival mechanism. It takes in information and it clumps it all together and creates a generalization. Here's an example of that. An example of a generalization. I walked over to pet my friend's dog when I was 5 years old. The dog bit me. Now, Frank, my mind creates a generalization. What is that generalization that I have about dogs?
Every dog's going to bite you.
Every dog's going to bite me. Be careful. Now, I may be able to overcome that. In fact, some people would take that experience and become dog trainers, dog dominators. Other people spend their entire life cautious about dogs. But here's the question of the year. Do all dogs bite?
Nope. Well, they do, but not all of them that bad.
They don't all bite.
No.
They don't all bite. The only thing that causes a dog to bite is when it feels threatened. And it feels threatened usually by your own fear. But when you dominate a dog, it doesn't bite you. There's a nature to it, but there's a whole different thing. The point is very, very simple. All dogs don't bite. Yet the mind relates to it like they do. So where did you learn that if you make this video or series of videos and you start to send these videos out on a regular basis, that people are going to see through you and go, he's just a schlocky salesperson. He's just trying to get me to spend money with him. Where did you learn that? You made it up. You made it up. An illogical survival system took over and literally caused you to not take action based on a hallucination that you're having. So you're living via hallucinations versus truth. And the moment you start to deal with that you're a BSer, that you're BSing yourself, the moment you admit it, you own it, you go, I make stuff up, and then I live like what I'm making up is true. The moment you own it is the moment fear starts to wash away and courage starts to come up. Doesn't mean you don't have fear. Just means that you know how to deal with fear, because all fear turns out to be proven as false when it comes to sales. Okay. So the next question that I ask myself, and we ask in our community, whenever we're going to do an experiment, if we're pretending we're doing a viral experiment, okay, is can I tell the future? So Frank, do you have a crystal ball?
Nope.
Are you psychic?
Are you psychic? Nope.
No, but let's be honest. Doesn't the drunk monkey pretend that it is psychic?
Every day it does, and I battle it. Every
day it says, don't do that because this will happen. Mm-hmm. Or if we do this thing over here, you're probably going to run into that. And blah, blah, blah. That's a phenomenal trait that we have when you live in the jungle. That's an amazing trait that you have when you're walking on the street in New York City and you're dealing with all the various things that are going on around you, keeping yourself in a safe trajectory. Very phenomenal. But when it comes to your sales business, your real estate business, this is a major impediment. You cannot tell the future. You don't know what the future is, and you're arrogant to think that you do. And the arrogance of the drunk monkey is really driven by ignorance. Ignorance creates arrogance, and arrogance creates a misguided human being who doesn't have the courage to find out if their hallucinations are real or not. And this is what I'm all about. I'm not for the lighthearted, Frank.
No,
I'm not for the lighthearted. If you want to be a badass, then you come work with me. If you want to sort of fart around this business and see if I can do a few deals, whatever, that you're not my person.
Well, you know how to get right to the heart of the matter. What all these layers of protection people have built up to pierce through that to figure out what is really motivating me to think and feel a certain way.
And here's why: because The coaching industry at large, mostly my business has been coaching. And the coaching industry at large deals with an incredible problem. They have all the strategies. Frank, there's no shortage of strategies for you to make money as a salesperson. None. No shortage. The shortage is getting you to actually do it. That's the shortage. So as a coach, my issue has never been, I don't know what to tell you to do to make money. I always knew what to tell you to do to make money. The thing that I didn't know what to do was, how do I get you to get over your BS to actually do it? And ultimately, that's where my skill set developed. So the reason why I get to the heart of the matter so fast and create immediate action in people is that I was being paid and am being paid thousands and thousands of dollars a month to talk to someone for 30 minutes and get them to take action. And you know what? I was on trial, Frank, every week. Week in and week out, I was on trial, dude. If you didn't take action this next week, I could be fired.
Yep.
And so my bread and butter depended on me figuring this out. And guess what? I did. I figured it out. So check it out. Another question. What will really happen if I do this? Let's say I make the decision I want to move into doing some viral marketing, or I just want to go more.
Just call past clients.
I just want to go more relational in general. I'm going to do an experiment called Let's Call Past Clients and see what happens, okay? So I want to go relational versus transactional, or I want to add relational, let's say as in my words, as a commission stack. I want to stack up commissions over there in that zone, and I have a stack already happening over here. How do I add more stacks in the realm of relation? Well, one of the things that I have to do is I ask myself, okay, what if I really did this? What if I got on camera, followed the scripts, did the process, sent them out? What if I really did it? What would really happen? And now I have to dream and go into possibilities. Then I ask myself this next question: what am I committed to? And you know, so many times we don't ask ourselves that. We don't say, what am I committed to? We just say, I'm afraid, or I'm concerned that this will happen, or I don't have time, or, you know, this is a bunch of BS. And I've tried things like this in the past and they don't work. We have all of these, default, what I call mindset malfunctions. And it really is a malfunction. For you to say, I don't have time, is actually incorrect. It's that I choose to waste my time on activities that won't bring me what I say I'm committed to. But we don't get that honest with ourselves. We lie. We lie to ourselves. I'm so busy. I'm overwhelmed. I'm already doing too much. I can't do that. You're not busy and overwhelmed. You're disorganized. You're not busy and overwhelmed. I have agents that I'm coaching right now doing 160 deals. I have another agent doing 200 deals a year. And you know what? They're working 30 hours a week. You know why? Because they're organized and they learned how to get through the mindset constraints. Doing more business is not a function of doing more action. Yes, you got to take action, but ultimately you got to take right action, which means you have to deal with the fact that you're addicted to distraction. What are you committed to? That's the question you got to ask yourself. What are you committed to? The next one is, what do I want? Because there's what I'm committed to. That's one part. What do I want? That's another part. Because what I want might be different than what I'm committed to. See, what I want, I might actually do it like this, Frank. What I want is for people to just give me business with me not doing anything. And that's okay. You know that there's actually ways in which you can automate your processes with your past clients and sphere of influence. If I say I'm committed to getting more business from my past clients and sphere of influence, and what I want is to not have to do anything to get that to happen, it occurs to most people that those are opposing intentions. But those are not opposing intentions. Do experiments until you discover the process. That's how all businesses have grown. People have hypothesis and they run an experiment and they see what happens.
I got to make a comment on that. I think that's so At Viral, we say you want to ask for email addresses when you meet somebody. You want to send them 2 pieces of helpful content a month, and then you want to follow up with the people that watch and consume the content for feedback. And just by doing that simple thing, you can see a dramatic increase in the business. And I think there's a mindset where, 1, it can't be that simple, but almost 2, they don't want it to be that simple because there's pride in grinding it out so hard that if it was that simple, they would feel stupid for doing such hard work. Am I going too deep on that one?
There's another aspect, okay? So that's one group. There's another group that basically says, I must suffer and be a martyr. And they don't realize that they've correlated, if I don't suffer and make myself into a martyr, if I don't become victimized by my own process, then I'm not going to be able to justify the irrational nature. Like, for example, in real estate, if I sell an $800,000 house and I make a $30,000, $40,000 commission, and all I did was price it right and put it in the MLS and it's sold the next day, how do I justify the fear that I have that is an imbalanced equation for action and return? How do I justify that? Because again, it's this fraud idea. Fraud really gets in the way. It gets in there and kills us. So there's a lot of that. Here's the thing. If you will take the time to understand what's going on with the drunk monkey, the moment you understand what's going on with the drunk monkey, you can do something about it. Otherwise, you're constrained and constricted by an unexamined point of view. There's a mechanism in your head that is stopping you. And if you don't do something about it, you'll be stopped the rest of your life. Have fun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, the other thing,
go ahead.
What's one more thing I want to add is because these are all the things that I see, but here's somebody that's on a transactional mindset. They are working so hard, like, to that next call. Well, it's like I need a listing. So now I got to get an appointment. So now I got to make a contact. Now I got to make a dial. And now I got to have the actual time scheduled. And very disciplined individual, by all means, that's succeeding on a transactional business. But once you have the awareness and you understand that this is an issue, you have to step back and like not do those things that provided for you for so long, to sit down and like create a video or call past clients that is taking away from that now business.
That's irrational. Even that point of view is completely irrational. There is so much BS that the person you are talking about is doing every single day. And they know it and I know it. And there's no possible way that if they did a rational assessment of the way in which they spend their time, they would not say, oh, I'm spending 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day in BizGen. They're not. They're spending 2-3 hours a day in BizGen, maybe a half hour a day in lead follow-up. Then the rest of the time, they are noodling around in activities that are not BizGen oriented, which is okay, but if they really want to double their business in the next year, they've got to add some kind of harvesting of the past client sphere of influence, referral-based business. And it's not just referrals, by the way, from your past clients and sphere. It's also referrals from other individuals, other professionals who could be great referral sources. But here's the deal. To take away is based on an ignorant point of view about what your day is made of. And anything that is not leading to making money or bringing money in the door is not the job of the salesperson. In real estate, here's your job. Prospect, lead follow-up, listing presentation, buyer presentation, negotiating. Anything other than those 5 things is someone else's job. Now, the moment I say that is the moment the drunk monkey goes, oh, and now he wants me to have a staff and he wants me to all of this stuff, right? Immediately jumps into your head. Hi, I'd like to welcome you to the limitations that are stopping you from having the life that you want. You want to work 30, 35 hours, 40 hours a week and make a tremendous amount of money. You've got to build a business and leverage what you're doing.
Yes.
If you want to be a slave the rest of your life and you want to spend your days, you want to be a 75, 80-year-old slaving along to make money the rest of your life, have at it. You want to actually do something about it, you better get this stuff cleared up in your head. Otherwise, you will be trapped in a prison you created.
And that's, man, Matthew, there is, when I learned that I could take my talking that I do one-to-one, right? One-to-one, 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 one. Then I realized I could write that down or make a video about it, and those same people will watch it, and for the most part, they're cool with it. And I understood that I could scale through content, which we're doing through this Hangout, versus just having a small meeting of people here. And also you can scale by hiring people to do the admin. Man, that's a liberating openness of the mindset.
Yeah, but it took a shift in your mindset. There were many fears that you had to overcome in order to do that. And if it's sort of like this, knowing what to do is not enough. So, for example, for our viewer, do you know how to lose weight?
Like everyone does.
For everyone is yes. Then the next question is, does knowing how to lose weight do you any good? And the answer is no. You actually have to have the mindset in order to implement the disciplines and create the structures and change your habits and change your environment so that you can mitigate all of the cravings and the stuff that would naturally take you off. It's the same in your real estate business. The beginning phase is skills and learning what to do. You have to do that. The next domain to take you into success is to conquer your mind.
Absolutely.
That's the deal.
What other tips as they go through this process?
Another tip. So let's talk about it, okay? Another tip. It's called the worst case scenario. This is so liberating, doing the worst case scenario. So what happens is we pretend we know what's going to happen, and we don't. So that is an unconscious reflex. And the unconscious reflex that we discussed at the very beginning is the reflex of forecasting the negative. We discussed another unconscious reflex called following rules that don't exist. We then went through a procedure, and the procedure was about loosening the grip of the drunk monkey. Part of loosening the grip of the drunk monkey is to do a sub-procedure called accepting the worst case scenario. So here's what happens, Frank. The mind, its job is to steer you away from danger. So what it's going to do, it's going to forecast the negative. It's going to identify all the possible ways you might be embarrassed or fail or look stupid or be mocked or discovered that you're a fraud or feel bad. It's going to look for all of those things, and it's going to project out how they might happen. Then it's going to use those emotions to guide the body. So the emotions in general are designed to help human beings move away from things that would be dangerous or hurtful. So emotions assume you don't know how to think. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of emotion is to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. That's it. That's all emotions are for. We then give emotion all kinds of other meaning that it doesn't have. But really, it just comes down to move towards pleasure and away from pain. So your mind thinks of these fantasies about what will be negative. It then gives you emotions, and those emotions direct the body, in this case, away from shooting the video, away from calling your past clients a sphere of influence. Moves the body away. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's called forecasting the negative. What you want to do is you want to bust the context. And the way you do that is with a procedure. So the first step is to actually write out what the worst possible thing would be if you did it. What's the worst case scenario? And the key with this, Frank, is to literally go all the way into the insanity of the drunk monkey, because I promise you, when you write it out, you end up saying some of the kookiest, weirdest thing. You're going to start to see just how delusional the drunk monkey really is. So you'll write out all of this caca. And when you write it down, your heart will be beating and be like, somebody will be crying a little bit. I mean, it's nasty stuff that the mind makes up. If I call my past clients and all of these bad things are going to happen to me. Then once you do that, you go to phase 2. Phase 2 is you write out a plan. If that happens, here's what I will do. The key is that you do not write a plan to avoid the worst case scenario. You write a plan to actually deal with. If the worst case scenario happens, here's my plan of attack. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense.
The moment you do that, the moment you realize, oh God, if that happens, here's what I would do. I don't like it. It's not what I want, but if it does happen, here's how I would deal with it. The moment you do that, you're going to feel the irrational fear start to subside. Then you have to do number 3, which is make peace with the entire thing. So you have to literally ask yourself this question. If all that happens, could I deal with it? And the answer, of course, is yes. And then the craziest thing happens. You say, well, then why don't I just go ahead? Because I don't think any of that is going to happen. You literally have this moment where you say, this is irrational. And I'm not going to buy into the insanity of the drunk monkey. Boom. Power starts to happen inside of you. Courage wells up. And next thing you know, you're taking the action. It is phenomenal to watch. I got a client right now who is reporting. He's in our community. He's on Facebook. You know, in our community on Facebook, we're always taking on experiments and talking about them and whatnot. And he said, I've taken on this FSBO experiment and I've realized that, you know, with for sale by owners, I have all these stories about them. And then I went through and we have a process called the failure to fortune formula. I went through the failure to fortune formula and all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, this is crazy. There's so much money here. These people need my help. I can't wait to be a part of it. And whammo, he's in action, calling him. This guy literally moved across the state. He moved like 6 hours away. So he has nobody in his new marketplace. And yet he's garnering the courage to do all these things. He's done more deals in his new location than he did in his old location because he doesn't have all that baggage.
That's great. If anyone has any questions with the last 8 minutes or so that we have, feel free to type them using the Q&A box here on the right for Matthew, and we'll be happy to get them answered. This is good stuff, Matthew. This is what every human being deals with.
Well, it sure would be nice if we were taught these tools early on in our life.
Absolutely.
Okay. So can I just give a couple of tips on building a more referral-based, relational-based business? One of the things that I have helped my hunters to develop is a skill that I call giving the gift. I actually wrote a book on it called The Gift. So if you go on Amazon and type in The Gift by Matthew Ferry, it's there. It's like $1.99. You know, really, I just want to give it away for free to everyone in the world, but you have to pay $2. I know it's steep. Steep, $2. It is what I am going to call a sort of a breakthrough or a transformational way in which to network with people. Because what I found for myself is I was so oriented towards talking to new people that I didn't know, following a procedure, boom, 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 get a deal. Boom, 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 get a deal. No, 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 get a deal. That was my thing. And I was not real comfortable in the process of connecting deeply with people and finding out all about them and that kind of stuff. So what I did is I invented a procedure that I noticed some of the other top producing people in my world had. So the people who are really smashing it have multiple streams of income. I call them commission stacks. And one of those stacks is past clients and Sphere. And one of the things that they do is they come from a contribution-based mindset. I wrote about that in my book, Creating Sales Velocity. And it is how to develop a contribution-based mindset. And there are 4 steps to giving the gift. which will help you get into this mode of letting go of your concerns about yourself, forgetting about if you look good, forgetting about am I doing it right, and following a procedure. So the first step is very simple, and that is to intentionally connect deeply with people. The second step is to ask them about their life and the things that they're doing and what they're up to these days, what they're interested in, the projects that they're working on, the initiatives that they're working on. It's being interested in the specifics rather than how you doing. It's like, what are you up to these days? Now that takes people off guard. For they're like, I'm, same old, same old. And you say, well, tell me about, what are some of the initiatives with the kids or at work, or what are some of the concerns or things that you guys are trying to overcome? You're just being interested. You're being curious. They get talking. You're now engaged in step 3. And step 3 is to figure out, how can I contribute to this person? So as they're talking, you're looking for ways to contribute. Frank, what do Kristen and I focus on in our relationship with you?
It's the call comes from you. Say, how can I help you, Frank? How can I help you? What do you need? What do you need? I don't think you've ever asked once for anything in return.
We are in a perpetual state of seeing if there are things that we can do in your life to contribute to you. And looking for ways and asking you about, tell me about your marketing here, or tell me what you're doing with that. I got this email from you. What do you mean? What are you trying to accomplish here, right? We're engaged in a dialogue with you that is nothing about us at all. It's only about you. And that takes a lot of pressure off because I don't want it to be about me. It feels weird. For me, it feels weird and inauthentic to be in this constant ask for me. So I like to find out, what can I do for other people? Because here's what I found. You get what you give. The more you give, the more you receive. So I just go into this giving mode, and then I open myself up to receive. That's another topic for another day, okay? Because there is a mindset to being able to receive. The last part of giving the gift is to just be open to the miracles that will come, because it'll be amazing, the miracles that will happen if you will be a giver in this way. So I request that people take on giving the gift, and that if they were going to do a process, that every day they talk to at least 5 people in their database, and they focus on giving the gift rather than asking for business. People naturally want to give you business. They know who you are. They know what you're all about. If you're doing your viral video, which is turning you into an expert, they know what you're all about. Now, if you call them and you're just about giving and honoring them and seeing, is there someone I can introduce you to, or is there a resource that I have that I could bring your way? Is there a place that I could point you to? That is mind blowing if they will take that on. That would profoundly change the business. Go onto YouTube and type in Matthew Ferry the Gift and watch some of the videos that Thatch and I have made on giving the gift. It'll be very helpful.
And check out topagentmindset.com. Is that right, Matthew?
Top Agent Mindset is right now, so this is a time-sensitive thing, but right now we are doing a free training called The Lost Art of Commission Stacking. So if you go to topagentmindset.com right now, and you go to the front page of our website, there's a countdown timer. Click on the thing, watch the video on the free training, get yourself involved. Let me take you through the process, the mental shifts necessary to add more streams of income, because it is a mental shift. It's not a worker shift. It's a mindset shift to add more deals to your business.
Absolutely. And then if you're ready to kind of test the waters, if working your database as a source of businesses for you, it starts with the database reset. Thedatabasereset.com is the core marketing plan we implement for all of our clients here. Feel free to do on your own, or certainly hire us to help you. You can also go to getviral.com, a main website where you can see the free video marketing plan. That's the database reset. I invite you to read that. And it goes through how to reconnect with your database, build a database, communicate with your database, then selectively prioritize your follow-up with the people in those databases that's consuming your content. So you already have the expert positioning. You can pick those people out, which is pretty cool, and how to ask for feedback and referrals. And it does come from a contribution mindset. What can I give versus what am I going to get out of this is very important. It's interesting, Matthew. I can totally tell who's of a who's not of a contribution mindset because of the titles of the content that comes across. Why our team is so great is not a contribution giving headline, as opposed to, what I could do to help you sell your home. Two totally different mindsets of a headline, huh?
3 mistakes that all sellers make before they put their home on the market.
Yeah, that'd be a good coming from contribution. So,
Yep.
anyways, Matthew, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Your brilliance and your expertise in this area is very helpful. And for anybody that is looking to commission stack, this is the process you go through to be able to find out what's holding you back from being able to be like all these top producers we interview on here. Like, you're doing all the right things, but it's not working. And it's probably because some of these things we talked about with Matthew today. So Matthew, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time here on the next Hangout. Thanks for watching.